Hello, and welcome to the course. My name is Dan Tui. I'll be your teacher for this online section of engineering ethics. Um, why are you here is kind of the, the question of this little talk, which means basically my answer, my particular answer to why you're here, why I think you're here. Um, this is a required course for engineers at Drexel, unless you are a civil engineer. Which is too bad because civil engineering is the most corrupt form of engineering there is. So they really need an ethics course. And no, they get some kind of ethics training or some kind of ethics component within the civil engineering department, whatever. Uh, it's a little joke I like to start with. Actually, it's a little true, actually, that civil engineering is the most prone to corruption because of various obvious reasons, like what the construction industry is really like in terms of government and the mafia. But in any case, here we are in engineering ethics in winter of 2017, the very darkest day, I think, of 2017. Welcome to the course. Uh, why are you here? Why are you required to take an ethics course that has to do with engineering? Well, I think there's a very simple answer to that. This is a course in professional ethics. It is not a course that's sort of field specific, ethics and technology or ethics and science or something like that. It's an ethics course for people who are aspiring to studying for entrance into a profession, the profession called engineering. And it's because engineering is considered generally now, I would suppose, but not uncontroversially, but generally considered a profession, that you're taking this course. Because, as we'll see, the very notion of a profession is essentially an ethical notion. If you look up the word profession in a good dictionary, it'll usually mention something having to do with education, educational requirements, special skills, mental work as opposed to physical work, things like that. And those things certainly do enter into, in an important way, the notion of a profession. But as far as I can see from having thought about it and read a little bit, the very core of something being a profession is a certain ethical status or a certain set of moral responsibilities that the professional takes on in entering into a profession. This word professional, of course, is an ambiguous word. In everyday life, usually when we say that somebody's a professional, we would say that they're a professional musician or a professional athlete or something like that. And we just mean that they do it for a living. They make money doing it. That is not the dominant meaning of the word professional that we will be using. We will be using the word professional in a stricter sense. Well, I mean, not a stricter sense, but a different sense, and that is a member of a profession. There are professional athletes, just like there are professional gamblers and professional musicians, but gambling, athletics, and even music are not really professions, believe it or not, at least in the way that I think of profession. Profession is, well, what is it? That's the difficulty. There's no one definite, agreed upon, or official definition of a profession. Like I said, those other things, having a certain degree of education, having skills that are relatively rare and hard to get, those are important aspects of something being a profession. And if we look at the traditionally most recognized professions in the European, American, Western tradition, they are things that at least three of the four are thought of as needing special skills. And really, if you're going to be a sort of battlefield general, the military counts too. But law, medicine, theology, and the military were the traditional professions. And yes, all of them took study and special skills. But to my mind, that is not what binds them together, and it is not what makes engineering a profession either. Really, professions are made because of the type of work that they do, and especially the type of relationships that they create. And that relationship is sort of typified by medicine, let's say. The doctor patient relationship, or the lawyer client relationship. Or in talking about theology, we could be talking about priests, ministers, imams, rabbis. It doesn't matter. But let's just say the clergy person. And let's just use general term parishioner, member of the local church, synagogue, etc. It doesn't really matter what the particular religion is. All of these people, doctors, lawyers, clergy people, they all need to study, and they all have, especially when it comes to doctors and lawyers, special skills, or at least special knowledge. But they all have relationships which make the work that they do particularly important. That is, think about something like law. Or let's start out with medicine, which is kind of the most obvious one, or maybe the paradigm profession that we often look to. Doctors have the power of life and death over people, often, or at least the power to affect their health, their bodies, their very life. Lawyers can determine whether you are free or imprisoned, or whether you live or die if it's a defense lawyer. Or more commonly, lawyers have a lot of effect on your property, which, of course, let's face it, is important. If you are a believing member of some religion, a clergy person, let's say in the Catholic tradition, a priest has a certain amount of influence over your immortal soul and where it goes after you die. Right? So what really, I think, makes these four things professions is that each one of these jobs does its work in a particularly essential part of human life. Law has to do with our freedom and property. Medicine has to do with our life and health. Theology has to, and this is, you don't have to be a believer in any religion to sort of get it. But the idea of theology or clergy people is that they have power over the fate of our immortal souls. And of course, the military has maybe the most essential role of all in protecting the very existence of the country, of the state. So all of these things need special skills, but it's not really the need for special skills that makes them into professions. It is the area of human life that they work in, something considered to be so essential that the jobs are set off from regular jobs and called professions. So the question really, maybe there's two questions that immediately emerge, and that is engineering a profession along the lines of those four professions that I set out, and if so, why? And another question really is, what difference does it make, and maybe what difference does it make to you as an engineer? That is, whether or not engineering is a profession, what difference does that make to you in the way that you carry out your life as an engineer? Which I think those are both fair questions. So I'll do another video about that.